Cold air can ruin a tent long before midnight hits. The body feels fine for minutes, then the heat drops. Feet get cold first, then the hands start fading too. The sleeping bag starts fighting a leak it cannot beat. Extra layers help a little, but the chill keeps coming. More blankets only hide the real problem for a while. The tent is bleeding heat from one lazy draft line. Most campers blame the weather and nothing else. Most cheap tents get blamed before the real cause. The real thief is often a hidden, low overlap gap. Cold air slips in where loose fabric never seals tight. The lower door overlap is one of the biggest offenders. Floor-level flap gaps are even worse in moving wind. Warm air rises, but cold air keeps crawling in low. The constant swap keeps the tent from holding heat. The fix is stupidly cheap and brutally simple. A strip of self-adhesive foam weather strip does it. The same soft draft tape used on basic house doors. Narrow foam works better than thick, bulky strips here. Just enough thickness to compress and seal the flap. The strip never goes on the zipper teeth themselves. The strip never goes across every vent in the tent. It only goes on the loose overlap leaking cold air. Start with the lower door edge near the sleep zone, then check the floor-to-wall overlap by the entry. Any flap that lifts and shows air movement is a target. Dry fabric is the first rule before any tape goes down. Wet nylon ruins the adhesive and kills the setup fast. Wipe the area clean and let the surface dry fully. Press the leaking flap flat before placing the strip. Run the foam strip along the inside overlap line. Keep the strip beside the zipper path at all times. Leave the zipper free so the door still closes clean. Leave the pull tabs free so night exits stay easy. The foam should compress when the flap shuts tight. That soft pressure seal is the whole trick here. No open line means no cold stream at floor level. No direct draft means the tent calms down fast. The first proof takes less than 10 seconds to feel. Put one hand near the sealed edge after closing it. Put the other hand near an unsealed gap nearby. The cold difference is obvious almost immediately. That proof is why the full setup guide matters. The guide below shows the exact strip width and layout. One hidden draft line can chill the entire sleep area. Bigger sleeping pads cannot fix an open shell leak. Better jackets cannot fix a constant cold inflow. Expensive bags cannot beat nonstop moving cold air. Cheap tents suffer more because the overlaps are sloppy. Budget rainfly cuts make that low leak even worse. Loose tie-outs make the same problem much stronger. A half-inch opening is enough to ruin the whole night. Wind turns that tiny gap into a heat-stealing pump. The body pays for that leak for hours without rest. Shoulders tighten up and the lower back starts aching. Sleep turns into a cold grind instead of real recovery. That is why mild nights can still feel punishing. The cold is not only from outside temperature alone. The real damage comes from moving outside air. Moving air strips heat faster than still cold air. Still air inside the tent is much easier to manage. Sealed low edges trap that calm layer around the body. That is where this cheap fix starts beating expensive gear. Most people throw more gear at the problem first. The smarter move is blocking the leak before layering. One foam strip can calm the whole tent surprisingly fast. No heavy heater is needed for this basic upgrade. No giant winter setup is needed for this basic win. Just a soft seal on the line that keeps failing. One upper vent should still stay slightly cracked. Warm sleep still needs a path for moisture to escape. The lower gap gets sealed while the high vent stays open. That balance keeps warmth useful without turning wet. Heat stays longer when the draft line finally closes. The floor area feels less raw within minutes. The sleeping bag stops losing every battle underneath. The tent starts holding comfort instead of bleeding it. One cheap strip changes the whole feel of the night. This is where a weak tent starts acting much stronger. The hidden gap stops owning the entire camp night. The wrong placement can kill this trick almost instantly. Foam on the zipper teeth ruins the close every time. Foam across mesh vents traps wet breath in the tent. Foam on dusty fabric peels loose before midnight. The strip belongs on the overlap, not on the opening. It should compress only when the flap shuts against it. It should never block the zipper track or pull tabs. It should never twist the fabric out of shape. Thin strips beat thick strips in most tents like this. Too much foam makes the door buckle and leak elsewhere. Buckled fabric creates fresh cold lanes beside the fix. Cheap fixes fail fast when people overbuild them. One clean seal works better than a bulky mess. The next mistake is sealing every single vent shut. That sounds smart for warmth, but it sleeps worse. A tent still needs one high escape point for moisture. Warm breath loads the air with water very quickly. Wet air hits cold fabric and turns into droplets fast. Drips start showing on the roof and sidewalls. The floor starts feeling damp by early morning. Jacket sleeves and socks start feeling clammy too. People blame the foam strip when that happens. The real mistake was sealing the top as well. Low draft blocked and one high vent cracked is the play. That balance matters more than most cheap gear upgrades. A sealed low edge stops the cold wash across the floor. A cracked upper vent lets wet heat escape slowly. The tent stays calmer and the bag loft stays drier. The whole sleep zone feels less raw by bedtime. Another sign of a hidden gap is one cold shoulder. One side of the body freezes before the other side. The windward ankle gets cold before anything else. One floor corner feels much worse than the rest. That pattern usually points straight to the leak line. A little thread can help expose the air movement. Tape a short thread near the flap and watch it move. Fast flutter means real air movement, not a bad feeling. The strip goes where that movement actually begins. It does not go where fabric only looks messy. Ugly fabric is annoying, but moving air is the enemy. This is where most campers start wasting money hard. They buy thicker bags before fixing the tent shell. They buy heavier blankets before fixing the tent shell. They stack layers before fixing the tent shell. So the shell is the first wall protecting every layer. A bad wall makes every expensive item work harder. The guide below shows the exact seal points to hit first. The exact vent position matters just as much as the tape. Wrong vent placement makes the whole tent sweat. Right vent placement keeps the warmth useful longer. Another killer mistake is loose rainfly tension. A sagging fly opens new air lanes around weak flaps. That leak feeds the lower gap again all night long. Tight corners reduce pressure on the bad overlap. Balanced guy lines reduce flap lift and side wind. A calm fly makes the foam seal work even better. The windward side deserves the best attention first. Strong cold usually starts attacking from that side first. Start there before chasing every tiny corner in camp. Another smart move is sealing only the sleep zone first. Entry flaps used all evening can wait until later. Sleeping side gaps deserve priority before everything else. That saves tape, time, and patience in bad weather. The exact strip length matters more than people think. Short broken sections create tiny cold jets between them. Full coverage across the leak line works much better. Small open breaks weaken the whole seal immediately. Cold always hunts the easiest path into the tent. That path usually follows low loose fabric and openings. It follows lazy setup and weak overlap design. It follows cheap tent cuts that never seal well. A $2 strip can bully all of that. Not by creating heat inside the tent by magic, by stopping heat from leaving so stupidly fast. That difference is what turns misery into real sleep. That is why this cheap trick feels bigger than it looks. Heat kept inside always beats extra heat leaking out. Seal first, then let the rest of the gear work. That order is what makes the whole setup start winning. That is why this fix keeps working all night. The easiest field test happens before the sky gets dark. Zip the tent, seal the low overlap, and wait a minute. Leave one upper vent slightly open during the test. Then lie down at floor height near the leak line. Floor level tells the truth much faster than standing up. Standing hides half the cold stream moving through camp. Kneeling misses the worst of the draft most times too. Calf height is where the real leak usually shows up. The cold often hits the feet before anything else, then the side of the sleeping bag starts cooling off. Once the bag shell gets cold, recovery feels slow. The body starts burning energy just to keep up. That is why mild numbers can still feel brutal. The forecast may look harmless, but the draft is not. Small tents react even faster because the volume is low. Less air inside means comfort drops much faster. Larger tents hide the problem longer, not better. They still leak warmth the same way through low gaps. Dome tents usually suffer near the door, overlap first. Cabin tents often leak more at panel joint flaps. Cheap pop-up tents leak around lazy floor seams. The shape changes, but the draft behavior stays similar. Low moving air steals sleep in every one of them. Another cheap add-on can help the seal survive wind. Small binder clips can hold the flap corners tighter. They cost almost nothing and add more pressure there. That extra pressure helps the foam do its job, but the foam strip stays the main item in the setup. The seal does the real work, not the clip itself. The clip only supports the seal when gusts hit. An emergency backup still matters for rough camp nights. No foam tape in camp still leaves one decent option. A folded microfiber cloth can sit along the flap line. A few clips can pinch it into a soft barrier. It looks uglier and it never seals quite as well, but it can slow the cold wash enough to matter. That can save a miserable night from getting worse. The clean version is still the better long-term move. Foam strip is lighter, cleaner, and more repeatable. It is faster to set and easier to remove later. The full guide below covers both working versions. Exact strip thickness is listed there step by step. Exact corner order is listed there step by step. Exact vent gap size is listed there step by step. Exact windward setup is listed there step by step. That is the difference between guessing and sleeping. Another reason this works is body heat pooling nearby. A calm tent keeps that small warm pocket alive. A drafty tent destroys that pocket within minutes. The body never gets to warm the space around it. The whole night feels longer when that keeps happening. The morning feels worse even after enough hours in camp. Good sleep starts with stopping the steel first. Then sleeping pads start working closer to their rating. Then sleeping bags start holding loft the right way. Then extra layers finally become useful instead of desperate. Cheap fixes only fail when the order stays wrong. Seal the low gap before adding more bulk inside. Crack the upper vent before blaming the strip. Tension the fly before calling the tent hopeless. Then judge the warmth after the shell calms down. That sequence matters more than most people expect. Random upgrades burn money and still leave pain behind. The right order saves the night for almost nothing. Cold tents start feeling expensive very quickly in camp. This fix stays stupidly cheap and brutally practical. One hidden gap can steal heat for the whole night. One soft seal can shut that leak down hard. The next night feels different almost as soon as camp sets. There is less stiffness in the back by morning. There's less waking up angry at 3 in the dark. There's less fighting the bag every single hour. The tent finally starts helping instead of hurting. The full off-grid setup guide is linked below. That is where the exact layout and order live. That is where the exact materials and sizes live. That is where the exact mistakes to avoid live. The cheap fix is simple, but the order is everything. Get the shell under control, and the whole tent changes. That is how one hidden gap stops owning the night.